A national tree planting season was launched by the Cabinet Secretary for Environment and Forestry, Keriako Tobiko, the other day.
The issue is not just planting seedlings. It's planting seedlings at the right time and planting the seedlings at the right place.
Amid that launch, tree planting is now on the lips of many Kenyans, with some challenging each other to plant trees the number of their birthdays. Well, I'm 46 and I'm looking forward to planting that number on my birthday. But I can't wait for that day. I'm already planting. But I can't beat the achievement of a man who has planted about 400,000 trees on this farm in the last 10 years.
And in fact, nature has planted another 400,000. So the population of the trees that we have put here nearing a million trees.
On the Chamwada report, we bring you the story of Chapurukha Kusimba, a professor of anthropology. And you'll even be surprised he doesn't live here. He lives in the US.
We have both economic and indigenous trees.
200 acres, which he's turned into something. When he bought this land, he found only one tree, that fig tree. And in this picture, this is how the land looked then. Chapurukha Kusimba was here on this farm during his holiday in January this year, that is 2018. And I spent time with him just to understand the secrets behind his achievements, something many Kenyans can only dream of.
Which one do you want for lunch today? Pick one.
Usually, forests are classified into two main categories, natural forest and plantation forest. Natural forests are composed of indigenous trees, while plantation forests are established by seeding, planting, or both. The classification of forests is normally done by describing the dominant tree species as well as its environmental features.
When we think about forests, then it means some of those forests in the northeastern areas, they may fall under forest. Because if the trees or the shrubs, the trees that we have there have got 2 meters and above, and they have got that canopy cover of 15% and above, then it means that is a forest.
According to the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, the current forest cover in Kenya stands at 7.2% against the bare minimum of at least 10%. But the ministry is already optimistic that this will be surpassed by the year 2022 and not 2030 as earlier projected.
But ours is just to provide the leadership. We cannot as a ministry alone, we cannot as the coordinator agencies of the ministry alone achieve that target. All of us know that this country is in a crisis. Our forests have been degraded, depleted.
Since most lands that support growth of forests are also suitable for agriculture, most forests are presently under threat to create room for that purpose. Most importantly, forests have huge benefits, some of which include soil conservation, water conservation, as well as conservation of biodiversity. Forests can also be used for recreation, research and education, as well as commercial exploitation. Cultural and religious roles for surrounding communities are equally important. Forests play a key role in the reduction of greenhouse effect and provision of non-wood products such as honey, fibers, nuts and tubers.
If you look at the people using biomass, it's more than 82%. People who rely on firewood, people who rely on charcoal, and they all rely on about 85% of energy from trees. What options are you giving to our people in order to get alternative sources of energy?
On the other hand, the current threats facing forests include deforestation, charcoal burning, overgrazing, agricultural expansion, forest fires, and human encroachments. And that's the fact sheet for the Chamwada report. My name remains Elijah Mwangi.
But a lot of these birds of ours, we keep them naturally. So we do use no pesticides on this farm. We only use compost manure for everything that we do.
Yes, Professor Kusimba wants to take conservation to what it was like during our forefathers' time, to use his words. He believes Kenyans can do better in conserving the environment.
So in 2007, 75% of this farm looked like this, was exposed rock.
Exposed rock.
Just like that. And 25% was what you might call arable, but still filled with a lot of rocks. So it was land that we could afford because it was really land that nobody wanted.
Nobody wanted to buy it.
Kenyans don't buy rocks. Kenyans love, they buy arable land. That's what you buy. You spend money to buy arable land. It was advantageous for us, but it was still an expensive piece of farm because we bought each acre for at least 250,000 shillings.
250,000 shillings per acre.
Yes.
And it's how many acres?
I think it's approximately 200, probably slightly more.
Your land here is 200 acres.
Yeah.
Chap, despite living in the US for over 30 years, has not forgotten his roots and culture. On this farm, he has created an interdependent ecosystem.
I'm a pastoralist. I mean, that's we Bukusus are raised in a pastoral tradition. We love cows.
Chap Kusimba teaches anthropology at the American University in Washington, D.C. Now you are in such a free environment, sunny, good weather, animals around you. Which world is better for you, the US or here?
Both. Both are good for me because I think the US has given me this.
The US has given
me this. The US has given me the knowledge, the know-how to actually appreciate what we have in Kenya much more. And so I do think that I probably have one of the very few lucky people on earth today. I'm one of the happiest people, I would say, because I love my job in the US. I'm a productive scholar, I'm a good teacher, but I'm also a pretty good farmer, I think. Turning a place like this into what it has become is a labor of love. And I think that...
How often do you come to Kenya?
I come to Kenya 3 times a year. I come to Kenya, like now we just came for the Christmas holidays.
Professor Kusimba estimates that the value of this 200-acre land and assets on it could be well over 1 billion Kenya shillings. Let's now go back to where all this began.
Unaona hii mti here. This is, I think, one of the happiest trees in the world. Fig tree of Machewa. That's what we call it. The reason why we think it's the happiest tree in the world, or one of the happiest trees in the world, is because when we got here in 2007, this was the only tree that was standing on this farm. The whole place had become deforested. And the villagers tell us that they were planning to come and now clear it for charcoal burning. So we bought the farm and we saved this tree.
So this tree has sentimental value to you?
To me, and I think even to the villagers, because when they come here, they see that we did something that was really, really good. They have confessed to us.
So from one tree, and now you have how many trees?
From one tree to this.
Unamuita nani huyu?
Huyu anaitwa Simba.
Simba.
Yeah.
Anapenda wageni.
Anapenda wageni sana.
Yes, si kama wale bata wanataka kunifukuza.
Unajua hawa ndio askari wangu, lakini huyu ni is my pet.
Wow.
Lakini wale ndio askari wangu.
Imagine ametoka tu akakuja kwangu.
Exactly. Ameona you come with good intentions.
You found one tree.
We found one tree.
Now, what's the population of your trees here?
The ones that we have actually planted are 400,000. Yes, but what God has planted with the help of the birds that now feed on these forests and live in these trees, we assume that it's probably double the size. So we have planted 400, and in fact nature has planted another 400,000.
Good.
So the population of the trees that we have put here nearing a million trees just within the last 10 years. And this is changing the ecosystem of this place. We have both economic and indigenous trees. The choice of eucalyptus was good because this is a rocky area. And because eucalyptus have deep roots, they are actually better for these kinds of environments because they penetrate the rocks. And basically after 20 or 30 years around, they'll turn this rocky place into arable land.
Professor Kusimba buys some of his seedlings from the Kenya Forest Research Institute, KEFRI, and others are from his own nurseries on the farm.
Raja Alex, some of the trees that we have planted here are these trees here, like this line here.
This is indigenous.
This indigenous tree. This is actually the tree that the Swahili called mvule.
Mvule. It's found mostly at the coast.
Yeah, it's found all over the Kenya. But mostly the Swahili and other coastal people have used it to make the beautiful carved doors and seats. And we have some in my house. But this tree takes about 300 years to mature. Wow. And when it grows and it's huge, the three of us will not be able to cover its gap.
The what?
It's essential. So 300 years, this tree will be as big as that. Yeah. So we are not planting this tree for ourselves. We are planting this tree for our great-great-great-great-grandchildren use, if they ever want to use it.
If people knew the value, then they would not be destroying them anyhow.
Exactly. We have recorded at least more than 250 species of different birds on this farm. The birds do a great deal of work for us. When they eat a lot of these seeds, they then basically replant and they are reforesting this environment. And so it's only right that we also do the same by ensuring that they have enough to eat, especially during dry seasons such as this one.
We take a short break. When we return, more on Chapurukha Kusimba's love for trees and how organic farming is helping him achieve that dream. Also ahead, experts will tell us what it takes to sustain forests all the way from seedling nurseries to thriving tree canopies.
If one of your objectives is to increase the biodiversity, that farming of trees, organic farming, it provides a very good environment where you can see the increase of your diversity, taking a very short time, and you get all different types of species on the farm.
We need to change from tree planting to tree growing. Tree growing and start rewarding people for the trees that has been sustained.
Welcome back. We are in Kiminini, Trans Nzoia County, featuring a man who is living his dream of tree planting. On this 200-acre farm, he's planted about 400,000 trees, both exotic and indigenous, and nature has added him another 400,000 trees. What a story.
This area was very heavily eroded when we bought this land. It was heavily eroded. So with each rainy season, the rainwater, all the water would just wash down all of this. So there were lots of gullies around here. And so we decided that we wanted to plant trees that grow very fast. We talked to a forester, and the forest advised that we should probably plant neem because it grows very fast, jacaranda for the same reason, because it also shed a lot of leaves. And so that will help in the sort of the rebuilding of the topsoil of all of this. And so this is essentially what we did. And we were planting them very close together. Yeah, this is the neem, this is the cypress, and we have some jacarandas. That's a jacaranda, for example. We have some jacarandas over there in the background. We should now prune it so that we leave a few to grow to become lumber. But now I think the soil is completely stabilized.
What's the impact out there?
The impact now is that they see more rain than they had ever seen. There's more rain in the area. They also see the kids come here, and the kids are seeing birds that they had never seen. There's also a lot of wildlife. There are lots of rabbits on my farm. We have hedgehogs, porcupines, and so occasionally the kids see this. And so they're seeing wildlife return to this area where for years it was all gone.
I mean, it's like they come to learn. Yeah. You create awareness to the villagers?
We talk about this all the time. And when I started doing this, I was actually working with them. I didn't do it alone. So essentially what we did is we'll give people a piece or an area like an acre, and we plant our trees, and then they plant the tomatoes or sweet potatoes, whatever. And so as they are taking care of their crop, they are essentially helping maintain these trees that
Hii shamba imekuwa na umuhimu kwa sababu kama ni upande ya kazi, huwa tuko na wengine hapa tunafanya nao kazi hapa. Tukinunua iko na shirika tu mahali peke yake. Tumeendelea kupanda miti tumepanda mingi. Upande ya kama miti mbao tumepanda kama eka 50, na cypress tumepanda kama eka 10, na kahawa tumepanda kama eka 7.
Professor Kusimba also practices beekeeping.
What we're doing is experimenting with essentially finding an ecological balance. We have about 130 beehives.
130 beehives
on this farm. And one of the reasons why we decided to keep bees is because we are investing in coffee, as you can see that. So the bees play a very important role in fertilizing the coffee. The idea was visualizing a Garden of Eden, where like now, if we were here in June, we will be picking fruits as we go along. We anticipate that in the next 10 years, this place will have perennial running streams, that this place will have a small conservation area where children from this county can come and walk around and learn about the ecosystem of this place. We expect to create a farm that is an example of how one can really create an organic farm out of really this bare rock.
Very well. That's the story of Professor Chapurukha Kusimba, a professor of anthropology and an environmental enthusiast. And as the national campaign for tree planting gains momentum, there are many questions. For example, the issue of timing, what type of trees, geographical differences, and sustainability.
It is a nationwide operation. And we have discussed here today with the coordinate agencies to establish a joint command center. And this joint command center will work out the details, and this command center will be populated by all the coordinate agencies. And part of that will be to tell the public and map out the species against site, and also correlate that with the prediction of the rain patterns. Because otherwise then it becomes patapotea.
I would say different places people perceive tree planting in a different way. I am looking at areas, for example, if you look at areas of Embu, Meru, Central Province, we see a lot of tree planting taking place on the farms. The reason is that most of the forests in those areas, the public forest, they have disappeared, so to speak. So the products that people require, for example, firewood, timber, they are no longer easily accessible. So people have realized that they have to plant their own trees so that they can supply themselves with those particular products. In the dry areas, tree planting is still a challenge, so to speak. It's something that farmers are still struggling with. Not that they don't like tree planting, but it's a big challenge in that ensuring that a tree grows in the dry areas. It's not easy. One, we have got the issue of drought. We have got the issues of things like termites. We have got also the issue of large tenure in that land is owned communally.
We need to change from tree planting to tree growing. Tree growing and start rewarding people for the trees that has been sustained. So if the government intends to put 5 million in tree growing, they should not go and buy seedlings. They should come to my farm if I'm a private entity and do a baseline and find out that this place is empty. Then after 1 year, come back. If I planted 10 trees, divide that 5 million into the seedlings that are there, or whatever arrangement you have done, so that it's a rewarding system. And government has been using a lot of money, because you've been seeing tree seedlings piled in schools, tree seedlings, and nobody's keen on their growing. We're only doing it as a ceremony. If the senior government official leaves, the trees dry.
Let's not stop at planting. Let's remember that seedlings are babies, in quotes. If you leave seedlings, the goats, donkeys, and even cows can easily browse them. So they need to be protected. And this should be a minimum of about 3 years. Most of the trees have grown out of that stage where they can be affected by either wildlife or even the domestic animals.
If you look at the timber industry, can we start looking at options? Right now, Kenya is moving away from timber roofing. There are still roofing and other options of roofing, which is again another issue that can replace the timber that we are producing and going towards roofing. So can the building industry also start having options of how we are doing that?
On that note, we come to the end of the show. Today, it was all about tree planting. We would like to wind up by appreciating one of our followers, Victor Naman. He recorded himself imitating how I present my reports. He posted this on his Facebook page. You will find this quite comical.
Now, today on Ujinga the Victor Naman, we bring you the Alex Chamwada report. Today, I want to bring you a special feature about the Luya homestead. Let me take an entry. This is where we have the chicken are stored, the Luya delicacy. Now, to get chickens just near you is one of the trickiest things you can do. Catching a chicken is indeed an uphill task, but this is my trick. There they come. Yes, the Luya delicacy is here. To have one, you must be very, very tricky also. I try and catch one, I missed it. And now they are aware, because they just know that if I catch any of them, it could be my next meal. I give up. Reporting on behalf of Alex Chamwada, I am Victor Naman, the Alex Chamwada Report.